You know that calm person who walks into a room, the one who doesn't shout or show off, but you still feel their strength? Our world loves loud voices, quick answers, big opinions, constant noise. It's easy to think that's real power. But what if true strength is quieter, especially for women? Real intelligence isn't about being the loudest. It's about being centered, grounded, sure of yourself without saying a word. That quiet power, it doesn't need applause. It changes rooms just by being there.
Today, we're going to explore 5 habits of highly intelligent women. These aren't about having the highest degree or the most impressive title. They're about something deeper, something that transforms not just how you see yourself, but how the world responds to you. If you're ready to discover the quiet power that's been waiting inside you all along, let's begin. Habit 1. The art of inner silence. Let me ask you something. When was the last time your mind was truly quiet? Not just silent on the outside, but peaceful within. Most of us walk through life with our minds running like a busy marketplace, constantly bargaining for approval, worried about judgment, craving applause. But there's a different way to live. A highly intelligent woman learns something most people never do. Inner silence isn't about removing all sound from your life. It's about removing the conflict within yourself. She doesn't avoid people to protect her peace. She simply chooses what gets access to her attention. Her mind becomes a sacred space, not open to every conversation, not exposed to every emotional storm. Think about it. How many times have you exhausted yourself by constantly engaging in arguments to prove your worth? How often have you drained your energy, explaining your boundaries over and over? How many times have you reacted to someone else's emotions and then regretted it later? Science actually backs this up. When your brain is constantly processing too much stimulation, negative conversations, emotional conflict, overthinking, it triggers stress hormones. Over time, this weakens the part of your brain responsible for good decision-making and self-control. But when you protect your inner silence, something beautiful happens. You give your mind and body space to breathe, to regulate, to respond instead of react. Imagine 2 women. The first always reacts instantly. Her partner says something thoughtless, she snaps back. Her boss overlooks her work, she's boiling inside. Her friend cancels plans, she takes it personally. Her life becomes an emotional roller coaster. Now imagine the second woman. Her partner raises his voice. She pauses. In that pause, she doesn't just hear his words, she sees his pain. She doesn't match his chaos, she stays calm. And from that calm, she chooses a wise response. This is the power of inner silence. It's not a weakness, it's mastery. There's an Eastern saying, the wise one drinks water, but hears the ripple. When your mind isn't full of noise, you can truly listen. You notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes. You sense what isn't being said. You see clearly. And here's what's fascinating. When you stop reacting to everything, you become unpredictable in the best way. People feel something different in your presence, a groundedness, a quiet knowing. And that's magnetic.
Habit 2. The balance of soft and strong. Here's something our culture gets wrong. We're taught that softness equals weakness, and strength means being harsh. But what if I told you that the most powerful women carry both? in perfect balance. A highly intelligent woman has learned this through experience. She's been too soft and watched people walk all over her. She's been too hard and pushed love away. And through it all, she's discovered something beautiful: emotional discipline. This isn't about controlling your emotions. It's about choosing how you express them. When someone disrespects her boundaries, she doesn't scream. She simply stops giving them access to her presence. When a friend only calls when they need something, she doesn't lecture them. She just stops being available every time. When life overwhelms her, she doesn't collapse. She slows down and adjusts her pace. This is what I call steel wrapped in silk. Quiet, calm, firm, unshakable. But within that strength, there's still softness. The softness to forgive without becoming foolish. The softness to love deeply without losing herself. Let me share a story. A woman's husband became cold and distant. For months, she tried everything: conversations, tears, even silence. Nothing changed. Then one evening, instead of repeating the same patterns, she calmly said, "I love you, but I will no longer carry this relationship alone. I'm here if you want to rebuild, but I won't beg for your presence anymore." That was the first time he truly heard her, not because she was louder, but because she was clearer. Her words weren't threats. They were boundaries with steel beneath the softness. This is the kind of woman people respect. Even if they don't agree with her, they know she means what she says. Her presence isn't chaotic. Her love isn't desperate. She brings peace, and people either rise to meet her or naturally fall away.
Habit 3. The power of observation. In our world of instant reactions and quick responses, there's a skill that's becoming rare: the art of truly seeing. A highly intelligent woman has trained herself to observe more than she speaks. Not because she has nothing to say, but because she knows most people listen only to respond, not to understand. She watches. She notices. She pays attention to the details others miss. When she walks into a new situation, she doesn't rush to prove herself. She observes how people behave when the boss is around versus when he's not. She notices who takes credit and who takes responsibility. She sees who stays silent during conflict and who speaks up. This isn't about calculating. It's about being wise. When you truly observe people, you develop what some call intuition. But it's not mystical. It's the result of paying attention combined with emotional intelligence. You start noticing the red flags you used to ignore. The person who never meets your eyes when apologizing. The friend whose compliments always have a competitive edge. In relationships, this becomes both protection and intimacy. You're not easily fooled by charm because you see beyond the performance. You notice how someone treats service workers, talks about their ex, or handles being corrected. And from these small details, you understand their character. But you also use observation to nurture love. You notice when your partner is quiet, not because he's distant, but because he's burdened. You sense when something's off before he even says it. This allows you to show up in ways that create real safety. A wise woman once told me, "I don't ask many questions. I just watch the answers present themselves." Habit 4. The practice of creation. Here's where everything changes. A highly intelligent woman doesn't just consume, she creates. She doesn't just scroll through social media all day. She doesn't just absorb other people's opinions and advice. She creates space for her own thoughts. She creates beauty in her surroundings. She creates structure in her days. This creation doesn't have to be public or impressive. She writes in her journal. She prepares her meals with intention. She designs her mornings with care.
She shapes her environment with purpose. And in doing so, she reminds herself daily, I am the author of my life, not just a passive character waiting for something to happen. There's a difference between movement and motion. Motion is just being busy, scrolling, reacting, rushing from one thing to another. But movement is intentional. It's directed. It's alive. When you shift from constantly consuming to actively creating, everything changes in your relationships. You stop depending on others to provide your sense of purpose. You bring a full life to the table. You create joy instead of waiting for it. You initiate care instead of demanding it. This makes your love generous, not desperate. I know a woman who went through a painful breakup. She had wrapped her entire identity in that relationship. After it ended, she felt lost. She consumed everything: self-help books, therapy, online courses. They helped, but something was still missing. Then, one day, she picked up an old paintbrush. She hadn't painted in years. As she began to create again, something shifted. The grief didn't disappear, but it transformed. She later said, "It wasn't the painting that healed me. It was remembering that I still had something to offer the world beyond my pain." That's the wisdom of creation. It's not about producing masterpieces. It's about practicing presence. And in that presence, you remember who you are.
Habit 5. Boundaries without explanation. Here's perhaps the most powerful habit of all. A highly intelligent woman doesn't need to explain her boundaries. She doesn't announce them with aggression. She doesn't beg for them to be respected. She simply lives them. Her boundary isn't a brick wall. It's a natural rhythm. Those who can dance with that rhythm stay. Those who can't, fade quietly into the background. When someone continually shows they don't value her time, she doesn't shout about it. She simply becomes less available. When someone crosses a line with disrespect, she doesn't plead for them to see her worth. She retreats with grace and finality. The world often misunderstands women who do this. They're called cold or distant, but what's missed is the wisdom behind their silence. They've cried behind closed doors. They've bent too far before. They've explained their pain to deaf ears. And in that fire, they were forged, not into stone, but into clarity. And clarity doesn't need to scream. There's a quote I love. Your boundary is not up for discussion. If someone doesn't like it, they are free to walk away. The highly intelligent woman embodies this truth. Her presence is her answer. Her absence is her answer. Her peace is her answer. But boundaries aren't just about others. They're also about herself. She sets boundaries with her own tendencies to overthink, to self-criticize, to revisit wounds that are trying to heal. When her mind starts spiraling into old stories, stories where she wasn't enough, wasn't loved, wasn't chosen, she gently says to herself, "Not today. I no longer live there." In romantic relationships, this kind of woman is both mysterious and grounding. Mysterious because she can't be easily predicted or controlled. Grounding because her energy brings clarity. Her partner feels the safety of her standards. He knows that love with her is deep, but it comes with responsibility. She won't chase. She won't convince. She won't compromise her core just to keep someone interested. This isn't power through domination. It's power through self-possession. She knows who she is, what she values, and that anyone who tries to cross her limits isn't offering real love at all.
These 5 habits: inner silence, emotional balance, deep observation, active creation, and clear boundaries. They're not just techniques, they're a way of being. They're about returning home to yourself, about treating yourself with the dignity you deserve, about creating a life that reflects your true worth, not just in theory, but in practice. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming aware. Because the moment you become aware of how you move through the world, how you think, how you react, you unlock a quiet power that changes everything. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to chase to be valued. You don't need to explain to be understood by the right people. Your presence becomes your power. Your peace becomes your strength. Your authenticity becomes your magnetism. And that's the quiet revolution. One woman at a time, returning to her center. One boundary at a time. One conscious choice at a time. The world needs your quiet power. It needs your grounded presence. It needs the wisdom that comes from a woman who knows her worth and lives it every single day. Are you ready to step into that power? The journey begins with a single breath, a moment of silence, a choice to honor yourself. Your quiet revolution starts now.